The Banu Hakim, also called Assamites in the past, but that's basically a slur at this point, are a new addition to the Camarilla, only having joined a few years ago. Before that, they were independent from both the Cam and the Anarchs, and they were used as assassins for hire. Supposed to be very good at the job, too. Nowadays, it looks to me like they've rebranded themselves as keepers of the law, which still gives them the occasional chance to hunt somebody down, but no longer for payment in blood, as used to be the tradition, or at least not overtly. One member of the clan I know well, Samira, is pretty cagey about this aspect of the Banu Hakim, but I've learned from a few other sources members of the clan have a bit of a drinking problem. Once they taste another kindred's blood, they find it hard to stop. Their inclusion in the Camarilla seems to have stirred some discontent among the Tremere, as the lawmen also use a form of blood sorcery to boost their abilities and observe different rituals. Some of them clearly religiously motivated, owned in no small part to the fact that the clan has been traditionally tied to Islam and the Middle East in general. And I guess we can do Nodism, religious belief, in the studies pertaining to the origins of the kindred. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. Okay, back we go. We need to rest now. I leave Dakota's apartment as soon as the sun goes down. Just looking at where we are, this is different from one of the few art pieces that have actually been different than the previous game. Yesterday was fun, but I always feel a little nervous when I spend too much time with her. She never lets me escape from being the center of attention. It's exhausting. At least the less time I spend with her, the happier she is to see me again. It's a tricky act to balance, though. I'm grateful for her presence in my life, but never mind. What's on my list of chores tonight? Ah yes, only one thing. Don't show up for the party at the art hole. Now this is the rare night when I don't have anything to do. Might as well take a trip around the city and see what's up. And maybe fix myself a little drink while I'm at it, okay? Well, what do we have here? A walk in the park. In life, I wasn't especially fond of parks. Now, as one of the kindred, I can finally see the appeal. Past midnight, they become a surprisingly good hunting ground. Or breaking the habit. I need to break out of this mood, go somewhere I'd never visit. Be something I tend to avoid. Think, Julia. What is the least you place to go and live a little? Well, she did mention a drink, so let's go do this first. Van Cortlandt Park. Funny, I never knew how much I could miss nature until I got stuck in this urban jungle for good. This is the place that our previous protagonist got ambushed. The sight of familiar green surroundings slowly floods my mind with disjointed images, back from when I'd just moved to New York City and was still in awe of it. Suppress the memories, we're not here for that. I shake the feeling off. This is no time for fantasizing about the good old days, most of which were probably never that good to begin with. I came here for a reason. A burning heat reaches my fingers. I flicker the butt away and immediately take another cigarette out of the pack before proceeding through the parade ground. The faint sound of shoes tapping against the concrete interrupts my contemplative move. Just what I was hoping for. I hurriedly finish my smoke and take a step back, blending in with the shadows. A lonely jogger runs into and out of the pale lamplight, completely lost in his thoughts, all dressed up in top-shelf sportswear, wiry muscles clearly visible under the skin-tight outfit. This guy might give us a run for our money. So, the Lasombra, in the role-playing game, from what I saw, have not only the abilities that have been talked about here, but they're also strong and also have the not the intimidation. I don't know. They share some with the previous vampire clan that we were in the other game, so we might be strong enough if we get into a fight. I think actually that was the beginning of this game proved that that was one of our traits. And his exposed neck. I get the urge back under control for now. Back when I was alive, I'd rely on the breathe-in, breathe-out exercise. However, nowadays breathing costs a premium. Just as I regain my composure, the jogger stops by the flickering lantern and takes a glance at his smartphone. His body tenses noticeably as he answers a call. Moving in on him right now would, of course, inevitably involve the caller hearing the assault happen. No reason to make things complicated. I'll take my time. I cautiously get closer and closer until I can finally overhear his words. I don't know, I'm worried here. You should expect the bad news, I know, but Jesus, Tasha, he's 9. He struggles and fails to sound calm. No, she doesn't know yet. I'll tell her when I get home. I need to think this through. I notice a lanyard half stuck into his pocket, with the Bronx Times logo slapped on it. Is he a fellow journalist? So, they say there's no cure. Yeah, I heard something about experimental treatments in Rochester, but I can't make this decision on my own. Oh boy. Do we get a chance to maybe have a... he would be, you know, if we turned him into a vampire, he'd be a child, but we could make him a ghoul, but I don't know if that... It's supposed to give people superhuman abilities without full vampire powers. But I think they're all supposed to be really good at healing, so... I connect the dots, realize what he's talking about, and feel like I was punched straight in the guts. Listen, I need to clear my head. Tell Jonah I need a couple days off. If he starts throwing a fit again, tell him he'd better learn to write the fucking column on his own. No, seriously. Thanks, Tasha. Yes, I'll give him a kiss from his auntie. The moment he hangs up, his composure goes out the window. He basically stumbles to the nearest bench. God damn it. His faint sobbing stops me in my tracks. I lose my appetite. Feeding on this guy would feel nauseating anyway. Just when I convince myself I should let basic decency take the reins, he notices me creeping around. He gives me a startled glance, eyes damp, looking absolutely miserable. Busted. So what do you say to a guy you were just about to assault in a dark park, but thought better of it? I mean, we could try building a rapport this way. It's a little bit weird. May not help. I don't know. This is kind of weird. So, Lasombra is supposed to be kind of haughty and know they're supposed to be in charge. We could just do this, be like, oh, fuck it. Fine, let's jump right in, you know? But if this does go down to me, I mean, he might be a companion, right? We could maybe fix his problem for him. Yeah, whatever. It's gonna be fine. I just wanted to say it's going to be alright. He looks at me. His gaze is kind, but tired and empty. Look, I appreciate your intentions, but do you really believe that? I weigh my words. No, I don't. Why would you say that? What do you think you are? You have no fucking idea what I'm going through. He gets more and more aggravated with every word. I cut him off. How can you be so sure? That snaps him back into focus. You're right, I can't know exactly what you're feeling. I'm no mind reader, but it's clear we have something in common. We both got fucked over with no say in the matter. He turns away and stays silent. Glad he didn't ask about how I got fucked over. Not exactly the same caliber of suffering. It's gonna be fine. Yeah, I got tired of hearing it too. It never gets fine unless you work your ass off. Even then, things get bearable. Maybe. If you're lucky. Your son has multiple sclerosis, yeah? How the fuck did we... I thought he had cancer, is what he was talking about, and he couldn't tell his son because he's 9. He doesn't deserve it. But that's reality being its usual fucked up self. Imagine how afraid he must be. Your fear is infinitely more beatable, so you need to pull yourself together. Lead him by example. The guy peers at me with unease, but I notice a tiny spark of confidence kindling in his eye. Unless there's some sort of miracle, there's nothing I can do to help my boy. Bullshit, you still have time to just be together. Make it into the best life he never had. Giving people advice I myself wouldn't be able to listen to. Hell yeah, classic me. Well, guessing what people want or need to hear was an essential skill back at Lodestar. Anyway, that's all from me. You're right, I've overstepped my boundaries, but I wish both of you the best of luck. Sincerely. Have a good night. I notice a change in his melancholic face. He stands up with his back straight, like he has regained some of his lost resolve. He nods and starts running straight back to his problems. I start walking in the opposite direction. Even though I might regret this show of abstinence later, what little remains of my humanity inside my shriveled heart encourages me to think that letting this guy go was the right thing to do. Part of me also is a little... I feel like this story from the very beginning has been on the rails. Like, There was an opportunity right there to create a moralistic choice for the player where I could have gone after him anyway. However, I was told what to think and what to feel. This is more, we're along for the ride with this lady, who I don't know if she's actually part of the source material, as opposed to, one of 3 characters, and oh, how are you going to get out of this? My major decisions up to this point feel like they have been made for me. I'll need a change of scenery to break out of this mood, and an opportunity to actually get some juice into my veins, relatively guilt-free if possible. Guess that's enough human interaction for one night. Not really, we could go to the other place. Once more to Big Beat Burger, into the last fast food joint I'll ever know. I'll have the usual. First time I used this line, I wasn't sure it would work, but I've gained enough notoriety among the staff that it does. Cashier just smiles, nods, and charges me for 1 black coffee. I can imagine them instructing the newbies. See that emo weirdo? Here's how it is. She always orders a single cup of coffee, nothing else. She doesn't even drink it. Probably wouldn't take a single sip, even if I was still alive. This stuff is just trash, but at least being a buying customer gives me an excuse to sit here for as long as I want to. I wish I could use one of those self-order kiosks to minimize human contact, but touchscreens don't exactly like me. Not too long ago, I managed to blue screen 10 of them in a row. Oh well. The good news is, it doesn't look like I have anything to do tonight. Bad news is, it's because every kindred who matters is having fun at the art hole right now. It's not like I wanted to go, I just wanted them to invite me so that I could tell them to fuck off. I scan the entrance to the restaurant through my peripheral vision. Am I naively hoping someone will come and save me from misery? Yes, I am. Please, please, please let somebody come and get me out of here. A prince, a princess, a knight in shining armor, a fairy godmother, a passing huntsman, Big Bad Wolf, Mila Jovovich, Vin Diesel, Azalea Banks. Why are we talking about celebrities? Hell, I'll take anyone at this point. Visualizing, tapping into the power of my subconscious, materializing my dreams. Nope, doesn't work. Looks like you're eternally stuck being a nobody in the corner of a shitty restaurant, sweet little Julia. Unlife's a bitch, and then you don't even die. I pretend to read a book about psychoanalysis I stole from Dakota for a while. Having found it too mentally taxing, I switched to pretending to read a Stephen King book, which I also stole from Dakota. After the terrifying realization that it was written in the last 15 years and therefore contains no amusing drugged-out rants about troubled childhood in Maine, I switched back to looking at the entrance. This party must be so stuffy and trashy and boring. At this point, I'm no longer looking for salvation. I'm asking for amusement. So we're just going to stay here the rest of the night instead of go looking for it when I know there's another one on the map. But it doesn't come. All I get is boring bozos in normcore clothes. They walk in, take care of their business without doing anything to amuse me, and walk out. A few minutes after I lose all hope, a tall, elegant man marches in with a spring in his step. Oh boy, is it crazy boy? He looks around, impatient, irritated. Then he notices the person he was looking for and reacts with visible relief. He gallantly approaches my table, looks at me, and says, "Oh, it's Kadir. There you are. Now that's curious. You shouldn't be here." Big Bad Wolf. Careful, everyone. Big Bad Wolf is here. He'll huff, and he'll puff, and he'll blow our house in. Why are you stalking me, Wolf? I'll have you know I'm not falling for the grandma disguise ever again. My dumb attempt at self-amusement doesn't faze him at all. He doesn't even roll his eyes. He just stares at me blankly. Grab your stuff and get in my car. Now. His tone leaves no room for doubt. Something bad has happened. I want to ask what, but whenever he's in his I will simply ignore all the dumb shit you say mode, I know better than to ask questions. Instead, I silently follow him to the exit. He guides me to his car. I just hope I haven't messed anything up. Again. I don't think I have, but have I? Kadir's car. As usual, he gave me the back seat. He's always uneasy when the passenger seat is taken. Doesn't want anyone to limit his peripheral vision, he says. That now explains the previous game when we always sat in the back. Normally, I'd catch him observing me in the rearview mirror, but this time he's watching the streets. More tense than usual. Something must have caught him off guard. I've got my seatbelt on and my popcorn ready. What's up? The awkward silence feels like it will last forever. Eventually, he finds the right words and speaks up. 6 weeks ago, the prince told me to parley with the anarchs in the docks, remember? Yes, and you made me tag along so I could learn something about politics. As it turns out, politics meant something awfully similar to watching my drunken family shout at each other at a wedding party. There was this man who didn't need to shout to make my blood boil. The meanest one in the room, their leader. White hair, monocle, musty clothes. With this fucking Polak cunt, I forget the voice I gave to this guy the last time. Scrooge McDuck. Yeah, how could I forget? A lot of panache, old-timey bravado, and gendered insults flung my way. What was his name? Something British. Made me think of Hollywood. Callahan? Baron Callahan. Douglas Boss Callahan. Right, it's 2020, but the man's opinions and ideas were stuck in 1920. Aren't the Anarchs supposed to be the progressive option? Wait a minute, did this guy survive? Did he get staked? Did something happen at the end of this? I can't even remember. What a wonderfully memorable game. Weren't the Anarchs supposed to be the progressive option? Never understood why they put up with him. He has his ways of predicting which way the wind will blow. Anytime Camarilla or the SI hit the Anarchs, it was the factions opposed to him that were hurt. The luckiest bastard in the world. Oh yeah, they ran off. Thought you didn't believe in luck. I don't, but it sure looks like his luck has finally run out tonight. Huh. Wait, don't tell me. He's dead? Deader than dead? I'm 99% sure the bastard met his final death. How do you know? We've got trustworthy sources in the Anarch inner circle. It's like all hell is about to break loose. There's an emergency meeting at the art hole. Jesus, and you're bringing me with you? Why? Because you were on the way. Because I could. Because I should. Why were you not at the party already? You might not be important to the members of the court, but you're still an asset to the sect. Symbolically, at least. I can justify sneaking you into the party, claiming it's for your own protection. An unexpected alliance between Big Bad Wolf and poor Little Red Riding Hood. Wait a minute, though. The party? It's still happening? I called the prince, told her the best course of action is stopping it, and started listing security protocols I have prepared for this sort of situation. She interrupted me halfway through and told me we will discuss the subject face to face. Oh yeah, she didn't listen to him at all. Oh boy, his eyes move now. Doesn't sound like she was interested. The party's that important, huh? Politics. Politics is that important. I don't know if he's trying to convince me or himself. And once again, politics sound an awful lot like a bunch of party-loving assholes shouting at each other. Don't worry, this isn't the kind of, how should I call it, governing issue the likes of you and I tend to deal with. And how would you describe the governing issues we tend to deal with? Shoveling ourselves out of shit. As usual, he seems a little embarrassed for cussing, or for being too honest. Either way, it's cute. No argument here. And that's where the conversation ends. We stay silent as the car rides off toward the unknown. I mean, so if he is British, I guess, but is it just me, or I guess I have a bad perception of British and UK names and all that, but many of the characters here, and especially it being New York, I would feel they would have Irish lineage. Just based on names, but whatever. I'm not a New York City baron, the Baron of New York City, if you please. Once more, a memory of an old douchebag who thought he could rule the world crosses my mind. Well, it looks like the world has left him behind. Sayonara, asshole. And here I am at the only place I didn't expect to visit tonight, the art hole. Guessing by the sounds, the inside seems lively. Even if they don't know it's an emergency, or even if they do know it's an emergency, they simply don't care. What are you standing around for? We still need an invitation? No idea. Do I? I think the bouncer will let you in. There's a bouncer. Yes, and he's standing right in front of you. Just start walking, Well, how? See, if you were the bouncer at the party, I think he's speaking figuratively, but if he was meant to be here as the sheriff, how could he possibly have said that I was on the way to pick me up when he'd had to... whatever. And here I am, among partying elites. It's as stuffy and boring as I expected, but hey, at least it's exclusive. The title Pinard came up with for these yearly gatherings is called Celebrations of Power, an invitation to re-examine the relationship between our undead bodies and the spaces they inhabit. It would have been a nice touch if they changed the paintings, like an actual art gallery might have done. The week-long event is packaged as a sort of performance art piece meant to make the kindred who are involved celebrate their potential instead of despairing at their monstrous nature. We need to counter-program the omnipresent images of tragic vampirism and images that remind us we have inherited the earth and are now free to remake it in our image, is the way our prince puts it. Sorry, I'm just rereading that again because suddenly that doesn't make any sense to me. Basically, she's saying we need to suppress the whole idea of the Sabbat beliefs. I guess. What? To this end, she organizes a series of exhibits, concerts, fireworks, parties, business meetings, etc., etc. Of course, the parties and business meetings are the most important. My prince? Kadir, finally. A saint with angelic wings, a holy patron of New York City. I take a good look around. Half of the figures here are dressed like they're attending a masked ball. The other half are religious figures, either demonic or saintly. Are we speaking in costumes, or are these actual people? I have to admit I don't fully understand the theme here. I know Pinard based it on psychomagic, a sort of shamanic psychotherapy using the power of art. Simply put, it's a holy mass and unholy mass in equal measures, a set of rituals meant to make the participants wholeheartedly accept they're both the worst and the best this earth has to offer. Put on this mask at the very least, you're standing out. Here. I heard the aesthetic basis for these parties is the black mass in the film Eyes Wide Shut. Some think this decision means Bernard is tone-deaf, but it's quite the contrary. She knows the anarchs are constantly looking for ways to undermine her through art and rhetoric that point out glaring contradictions in her theoretically benevolent rule. But instead of denying and suppressing aesthetics designed to criticize the elites, she embraces them. Instead of risking a Streisand effect, she effectively defangs the opposition. The resistance becomes a part of the system. Both the Camarilla and the anarchs get the same message. Don't think of it as pathology, think of it as the new normal. I'll collect the key advisors. They've already been told to come here. I don't think there's a need for us to hold the meeting in a particularly secluded place. We'll do it just over there. Are you certain? Absolutely. Wait, is that Miss Sawinski I see behind you? The one you just handed a mask to right in front of me. Good evening? I collected her on my way here because of her role as a Lasombra representative. Just say political hostage. You people have made it perfectly clear what's going to happen with my parents back in Chicago if I go against you. I realized she might become a target and decided to hide her at the art hole. Putting all my eggs in one basket will make my job easier. I will look for a safe place for her to spend the night. Let her stay with you for now, Alizmai. Time is of the essence, Mr. Arturo. I didn't notice him sneak up on us. Nice get-up. Are you absolutely sure? But of course, everything we say here is going to become an open secret in a matter of minutes. Prince Bernard has already come up with the appropriate messaging. Out of the corner of my eye, I spot an elderly vampire guiding a young, fashionable human girl toward the basement, led like a lamb to the slaughter. Best not to think too deeply about what's going on underneath this place. Before everyone gets here, I'd like to secure the perimeter. Easy now, Alasmai. All of the appropriate security protocols for you are already active. Me and the prince have already pulled some strings as well. Do you really think that a guy like this would say me and the prince and not the prince and I? The situation is mostly under control. Mostly under control. Never let anyone sleep any easier. Alasmai, I know that as the Prince's Sword, you're aching for blood, but you have to accept that, like most weapons known to men, you're most effective hidden in the sheath. Listen here now. Well, looks like a fascinating philosophical discussion in the making, but sadly I'm forced to interrupt. Prince Bernard. All of a sudden, Samira appears between the two men, her calm and collected voice completely changing the atmosphere, as expected for a self-professed protector of the peace. Samira, I hope you're enjoying yourself. To be quite honest, I feel out of place. She nods and smiles at me, probably to signal she takes solace in not being the only person in the room who feels like a fish out of water. Especially now, seeing as I heard this meeting isn't meant for those of greater stature than mine. Nonsense. We have a delicate matter to discuss, one that might require severe judgment down the road. I think you understand why I wish for a child of Hakim to be involved? Of course. What is that expression on your face, Kadir? He quickly collects himself. Look who's joining us. The High Regent of the Chantry of the Five Boroughs, Lady Aisling Sturbridge, walks up to our group in an outfit I would never have imagined her in, pretending everything is par for the course. Exquisite. Prince Bernard, the Sheriff, the Harpy, the Banu Hakim, Primogen, are we still waiting for someone? He's almost here. Shining even more brightly than usual, Aisling. I adore your outfit, Samira. Wish the prince allowed the same amount of effort from me. Wow. Wow. Wow! I, for one, am glad she didn't. I particularly love these horns. Thank you for reminding me. I put them on at the prince's behest, but I believe she's had more than enough fun. Not yet. Ah, well, this will do for now. But you're not off the hook yet. I paid a costly price to see you like this. Crickets. Both Kadir and the prince's voice are strained whenever they attempt humor. Their minds are obviously elsewhere, and it's not a happy place. Arturo, on the other hand, seems calm. We all celebrate our power in different ways, I suppose. Now what is this about? Just a moment. Over here, Addison. The Camaria's infamous spokesman approaches, pushed towards us in a wheelchair by his servant. Oh, that guy. Elena, everyone, I certainly hope this is something important. What a commanding tone. Seeing as Payne can't communicate normally, his servant relays his words to us instead, and he's posh and snobby enough to make me believe I'm listening to his master's voice. Carter won't be joining us? He gave me fair warning he might not make it tonight. I've messaged him the details. I'll have to find time to meet with him later, then. Finding time, searching for lost time, I swear it's all I do nowadays, and there's never enough. Oh, you are immortal, sir. I guess now you understand why I insisted that this event must last all week. So many esteemed guests, many of them from out of town, each deserving at least a few hours. The figure in the wheelchair waves his hand impatiently. Yes, let's just cut to the chase now, shall we? That might be the wisest course of action. My prince, I'm glad I did not pick a specific voice for each and every individual, because there are a lot of goddamn people right now. Arturo. My prince, everyone, let me begin by stressing these important points. The situation is largely under control, the negotiations are underway, and the situation is more tense than dangerous. We are safe. What the fuck are we talking about? Let me repeat, we are safe. And with that out of the way, here's the big news. Baron Callahan, de facto leader of the Anarchs in New York City, met his final death in his office tonight. How did you find out? We have a good friend near his office. Their intel is as accurate as it gets. We've also established a negotiation channel with the Anarchs. They gave us all the confirmation we needed. Was our court involved in his destruction? I look at her in disbelief. So does everyone else. Not that the same thought hasn't passed through my head, but to simply exclaim it like that. Well, spare me the virtue signaling. I thought we were being transparent here. I don't give a damn if we took care of Callahan or not. I just want to have a clear idea of what I'm dealing with. Yes, a clear answer. I need that too. To my knowledge, none of us present here ordered his destruction, nor did we participate in it, unless someone wants to confess. It's now or never. Of course, nobody speaks up. Arturo pretends to clear his throat. That's our official position as well. The Camaria's ruling body has nothing to do with it, and for all intents and purposes, his Anarchs contenders had more interest in removing him than we did. That interest is sure to manifest in one way now. His former enemies will prop him up as a martyr for the cause. Yes, which is why we sadly can't just leave the Anarchs to their own devices. As much as we'd like to avoid recognizing their sect in any way, we've offered to assist them in an official investigation. The music is getting loud. Addison Payne's wrinkled face contorts slightly. Let me just ask you one question. You do realize those curs have no respect for our traditions, yes? We do, Addison, but as a veteran politician, you should be deeply familiar with the words controlled opposition. Yes, for now, it's impossible to fully contain the Anarch threat in New York. For now, our only option is to prop up a candidate who will offer the least resistance to our future plans for the city. We extend our hand to the most promising contender, giving him a way to present himself as a diplomat, a man of reasonable compromise. The rabble falls in line, the purists grow angry and alienated. We've already contacted the best possible person in their sect. He will oversee the investigation, and it's in his best interest to show he's able to... Why are we going... Oh, okay. And it's in his best interest to show he's able to resolve the situation calmly. Is that good enough? Addison ponders the question for a while, then waves his hand again. It is. Proceed. Funny thing, nobody's paying any attention to me right now. Keep in mind, Mr. Payne, our people, man's people, I can't. It's getting past half an hour and I can't read anymore. Our man's people will still barely tolerate us and the situation is volatile. The other factions within that sorry excuse for a sect might still try to escalate the conflict. I'll do my best to solve the situation as fast as possible. How so? Gadir is momentarily taken aback by Arturo's question. I volunteered to coordinate the case with the Anarchs, of course. I refuse. You have more important duties to focus on. Once more, Kadir is stunned. All due respect, Prince, if you don't consider me capable of tackling this issue and attending to my usual duties at the same time, I think you gravely underestimate me. Your penchant for working yourself to the bone is well known and appreciated by everyone in this room, Sheriff, but so is your perfectionism. If we do grant your wish and let you investigate while still fulfilling your routine obligations, can you guarantee you're going to give both these tasks your best? I can guarantee something very close to my best. Close to your best doesn't cut it, Al-Azmai, not when the vultures are out in force. Callahan's destruction is sure to cause unrest among the Anarchs, and there's an obvious outlet for their pent-up rage. I want to make this perfectly clear. The celebrations will continue as planned, no matter what. This is why your presence here is absolutely necessary, Sheriff. We rely on your constant protection. Of course, my prince, we must be on constant vigil for a few days. Al-Azmai's sword must be constantly pointed at the enemy surrounding us. The timing of the Baron's destruction is impeccable. The Anarch leaders are sure to point at us and claim we're shamelessly celebrating his end. Does anybody believe it's just a coincidence? Murders are messy, almost as messy as politics. It's impossible to reliably predict the outcome of any violent action. I think it'd be wise of us to brace for a lot of unfortunate coincidences, Aisling. In any case, the rabble can't get the impression that their power struggles are of great concern to us, but they also can't think we have something to hide, which brings me to my point. We do need a symbolic gesture, one displaying expertly measured intensity. My best bet is a humble diplomatic envoy, a low-level official acting as an investigator of sorts. I would be surprised if none of you or I knew where this was going. I implore you, Prince. Kadir. He bites his tongue and struggles to collect himself. I rarely see him lose his temper, at least where the Camarilla is involved. What's going on? I wonder about your suggestion for this role. After all, it's not particularly prestigious, but carries a lot of responsibility. We're still talking about a Camarilla representative. Oh, I think there's a very obvious candidate. Both he and Kadir look at me simultaneously. Everyone else in the room does too. How cliché. Now wait a second, he can't possibly mean... Miss Julia, once again, your full name eludes me at the moment. Am I allowed to speak, or maybe I should wait for permission? Before I make up my mind, the sheriff sighs deeply and speaks up. Sowinski. Miss Julia Sowinski, right. I understand you used to be an investigative journalist before your embrace. That's correct. Among others, the Banu Hakim Primogen insisted that you are worthy of greater privileges and should be given a chance to prove yourself. Samira measures Arturo with suspicion. Yes. Do you still think she's capable? She looks me deep in the eye. I swear she's telepathically trying to tell me, please, please, please don't fuck this up, you dumbass little white girl. Of course. Good. And I'm sure that you, Al-Azmai, have no problem with your protege embarking on this mission? Save for the pain a mother feels when watching her child leave the nest? Whether I do or don't is not particularly important right now, is it? It absolutely is. Bernard's backing of Arturo momentarily blindsides him. Prince Bernard, if Arturo's plan is reckless, I want you to tell me. I need a simple yes or no answer. Is the girl capable? Now he knows he's left with no choice. I wouldn't entrust her with all of the responsibilities that I have if she wasn't. He exchanges glances with me, but his look is different than Samira's. It's as if he's trying to apologize to me. Here we are, then. A recommendation from the Banu Hakim Primogen and the sheriff. To tell you the truth, I was just throwing out ideas, but with this backing, I can't doubt the Night Clan's representative will get the job done. I'm certain each of us feels the same. Mr. Payne? The atmosphere in the room mostly suggests people are glad they don't have to discuss the topic further. A shrug here, an averted gaze there. A chance to get rid of the one person in the room whose clan they don't like at all. It is, as you say, I will watch the way she handles this situation with great interest. Well then, Miss Lewinsky, looks like you've got your chance for a big break. I have some conditions, I guess, like a nicer hotel, or apartment, or whatever the fuck I live in right now. Big break doesn't mean much by itself. All I see is a big responsibility being placed on my shoulders. What do I stand to gain here exactly? Even though I'd normally jump at the chance to be useful, I play it cool. All of a sudden, not only everyone acknowledges my existence, but believes I can handle solving a tense criminal case? If something seems too good to be true. Let's not be vulgar now. You stand to improve your standing at the court. Yes, we can discuss the particulars based on your performance. Boy, I had a boss just like that. Here's a bunch of responsibilities. We'll reward you later. Yeah, they don't plan on giving me shit. Figures. It's not like I can refuse, but this is something I need to take into account while taking care of this case. I need a bargaining position if I want to get anything out of this. Yeah, I'll do it. Just point me in the right direction and tell me what to do. Excellent. That leaves us only with one more matter, which I hope we can agree on. Prince Bernard signals someone with their hand. The figure emerges from behind the corner. Good evening. Catherine, what a pleasant surprise. Nobody informed me, or informed us, or whatever, that you're in town. I kinda did. Addison, looking healthier than ever. And what does Weiss have to do with it? We need an impartial observer who everyone respects, and as it happens, Catherine always knew how to make friends on both sides without angering either. I beg to differ. I'd be grateful if, just for once, you decided against throwing a tantrum about me, High Regent. A painful grimace crosses Aisling's face, but she is quick to interpret the taunt as an invitation to a game she can't possibly win. As long as she can prove herself useful to the proceedings in some way. If half of what I heard about her from Mr. Van der Wegen is true, she should be able to do it. And what did poor Carter say about me this time? Nothing specific. One always has to read between the lines with him, but it was mostly envy. Miss Weiss gracefully agreed to mediate, whatever, between the Anarch representative and the Lasombra representative, ensuring mutual cooperation and mitigating potential conflict. So he's absolutely lying, because he already had this discussion with her. He's lying that he just threw me out there as an idea that he was snowballing. This was definitely pre-planned. That felt like a Freudian slip. Lasombra representative, not Camarilla representative, i.e. someone who can be catapulted from the sect without much damage to the ivory tower if they mess up. Yeah, I totally called this one. Is there a meeting set up? Arturo looks at the clock on the other side of the room. In less than an hour. You'd better hurry then. The hell? All of this is happening so fast. If the situation is indeed under control, I will drive her and oversee the situation. Out of the question. You've got your orders, Sheriff. Attend to those. Fool, the girl needs guidance. And we need yours. Nobody knows what might happen next. But it's not as if the Anarchs have a lot of love for you, Alasma. You're too efficient in your duties for them to tolerate you. Better spare Miss Sawinski having them see you two together. Do you think my guidance of Julia would be lacking, Kadir? I never said that. So, do you have any objections to putting her under my care? He lowers his gaze, but seems reassured. None whatsoever. That's all I needed to hear. We'll be going then. Wasting no time as usual, I see. Have you at least tried the aperitifs? Waiting is an old person's game, Helena. I still feel young. Remember, if there's anything you need help with. Probably not, but I appreciate the thought nevertheless. Have a great night, everyone. I'll catch up with you later, Addison. I certainly hope you do. And so we leave, in a rush. Funny, considering what she told me about being in a hurry yesterday. Okay, I think that's plenty of time to end the episode here. I will see you next time.